Get my 6. Evening is falling very quickly here again this evening, and it's going to be dark probably by the time we wrap this up, as long as I tend to talk. By the way, if you've been following, you know I've been a little bit sick here as of late, but I'm feeling much better today, about 90% better. So thank you for the well wishes, those of you who sent them. And I have an admission, and that is that I was wrong. I was wrong about something. I'm going to tell you what I was wrong about. Another layer of the onion that is my understanding of life has been peeled off. Getting closer to the heart of the matter, as Don Henley might say, or the heart of the onion. So here's what we're going to do. This painting is an oil painting that I actually got at a thrift store several years ago for $1.99. The price tag is still on the back. It's quite sizable. It's probably 26 by 18. And this hangs in our living room above our firewood rack, so that I can see it every day as a daily reminder. And I'm going to remind you of the story. Most of you have heard it. Most of you have heard it on this channel. Many of you have heard it elsewhere. Oh, and by the way, shameless self-promotion. These, of course, are our ornaments. Here's Bigfoot Sasquatch with his, her, or its 2020 COVID mask on. But these are available on our Etsy store. As many of you know, dozens of you bought already within the last 24 hours. And I'm having late coffee because I had a late nap. So I spent all afternoon packaging those things up to mail out tomorrow. Thank you, by the way. Thank you very much. So anyway, I just wanted to show those off again. But and the link to the Etsy store is in the description box below. Okay, so anyway, quick reminder, and I'm going to tell you why I broke it back out, because there's more to the story that I understand now. And it's because I'm in the final chapter of a book I've been reading that was recommended by one of our followers, Alyssa Parrish, Rock Fam, down there in Australia. Recommended a couple months ago I should read a book called The Leader Without a Title. So I've done that. I've learned a few new things in it, but mostly it's confirmed what I already knew. And it's nice to kind of, read a positive, successful guy kind of affirming some things you already thought. But here's the deal. First, the story of the wolves. And the phone is not on a tripod. I brought the tripod. I was going to set it up and set stationary. But in that first clip there, I recorded like 12 seconds of the picture and the ornaments. There in the last couple of seconds, you probably heard those footsteps coming from the woods, only yards away. That changed everything. So I'm not using a tripod. I will continue to hold the phone because we may be going mobile. And I got to make sure to scan like this so you can get my 6. Watch for movement, listen for any strange things. You never know what may or may not show up while we're making these videos. Got to watch up here also. Got something to show you up here later. My son and I were taking a walk when he was finished with his virtual school, and I was finished with packaging all those ornaments and a couple of the print versions of Off Switch. Found something interesting up here. We'll get to that. But the wolves, okay, it's an old Native American tale of there's a young Indian boy talking to his grandfather, and his grandfather is explaining to him about how we all have 2 wolves that live inside us. We have the good, positive, optimistic wolf, the wolf that sees the world as a good, happy place, the wolf that sees the best in others, or looks for the best in others and tries to do good. And then there's the bad wolf, the nasty, bitter, jaded, curmudgeon-y, negative, pessimistic wolf that only sees the bad in the world, that only sees the bad in others, looks for bad. If they see something that just comes across as 95% good, they look for the 5% that's bad, and that's what they want to focus on. And all of us, the grandfather is explaining to his grandson, struggle with these 2 wolves inside us. They're in there, they're in all of us, and they're constantly fighting. And the young boy says to his grandfather, well, which wolf wins? And the grandfather says, the one we feed. So true. You hear that? There's something running in the forest in this direction. We're about to go mobile. So here is the rest of the story. And this is what I picked up from my reading today before I passed out on the couch for 45 minutes in front of the wood stove and the fire. Oh, I love to do that this time of year. I hate that it gets dark early. I hate that the temperatures drop. But I love just cozying up on that couch in the afternoon. I got up at 5 this morning. I was out in the woodshed at 7 a.m. sawing up those cedar planks to make more of these ornaments because we actually hadn't made as many as we sold. And so my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, was in there painting all afternoon while I was addressing envelopes and stuff. So it was a long day, and when we were finished, I stoked that fire up and fell asleep on the couch, and it was great. So I'm gonna leave my coffee and start moving around. So in this book, The Leader Without a Title, it's a journey. This guy, he's kind of, ironically, he's an Iraq veteran, and he comes home from the war, and he just kind of doesn't really see the purpose of, life. And so he gets this mentor, an older mentor, and there's so much more of this story here. So ironic. His mentor's in his 70s, and he takes him around and introduces him to some very positive-minded people. And the moral of the story is you don't have to be a CEO. I mean, this guy in the story, he works in a bookstore. You can be simply an employee, a lower-level employee, but you shouldn't. Okay, we definitely have footprints back here. Or not footprints, but footsteps. Watch right back here. Okay, you should strive to be the best in the world at whatever it is you do. Whether you're a clerk in a bookstore, one of the characters in the book is in housekeeping at a hotel. This last guy, he's actually a massage therapist. Okay, but here's what goes along with the story of the two wolves. The guy points out about how we don't see the world as it really is. We see the world as we are, as we see ourselves. And he uses the analogy of stained glass. Like in all the old churches, especially Catholic churches, you see all the beautiful stained glass. We all paint, or we create that stained glass that is the lens between our brains and the outside world. But we don't see it with our eyes, we see it with our thoughts. And that directly correlates with the wolf we feed. So if we're positive, if we're optimistic, we feed the good wolf more so than the bad wolf, and everybody has bad days. But that's our focus. We see the world, we find the beauty in it. We find the good and the bad. We're optimistic, okay? We're not afraid to leave our houses. We're not afraid to get around other people and attempt to form healthy relationships as long as those other people are healthy as well. And likewise, the opposite is true. If your stained glass is a bunch of negativity, you will see the negative, okay? Now, how do we paint that glass? And in the book, it goes on and on about how really it starts with nurturing parents, teachers, our environment. And so this is so tough for so many people that just come from negative places. Maybe there's negative, toxic, dysfunctional families, repressed areas. Maybe there's places where there's a lot of violence, a lot of negativity. Maybe just very downtrodden, economically repressed areas where people hate to see other people succeed and leave those areas. And if they do, they try to pull them back down with them because, that kind of makes them have to look at themselves. But there comes a point when we all kind of grow up and we kind of get to take the paintbrush away from the other influences. One of the biggest influences, of course, I'm going to head over here into the woods slowly, but it's towards where I was hearing the footsteps. You guys heard them too. It's going to be hard for me to be quiet because the leaves are so dry. But And it starts, I don't know how many times I've talked about this. One of the ways you can take away that negative paintbrush, if you've got a negative influence in your life, a lot of times it's just media. Turn it off. Kill your television. Don't go to those websites that touts all the bad, terrible, nasty things that's going on in the world. I did that about 20 years ago. I call it disengaging. I disengaged about 20 years ago. So like a couple weeks ago, I mean, we're not political on this channel, but it's a great example. Did you hear that? A couple weeks ago, most people in this country were losing their minds because of the political crap going on. I didn't, because I don't care. I disengaged from it years ago. Okay, we need to flip the phone. There's something closing in on us. There's more than one. We got one up here. Oh, look at the top of the ridge. There's one over here somewhere. Guys, we've got them coming in from both sides. Oh my God. They're getting close. They heard me move. Going from tree to tree. They're making sure not to come out in the open. You can clearly hear them. They're close. There's one. Look to the left of the tree. Oh my God. I'm surrounded. He's back behind that tree. There's 3 or 4 of them, guys. Oh my God, they're coming right up on me. Oh my God. They're still, guys, I gifted this painting to them about 2 years ago, and they didn't take it. And so I came up a couple days later, and I took it because it was going to rain. They've come to reclaim it. But I want to keep it because of this story. It's so meaningful. And I don't want to give them my new Christmas ornaments. Somebody watching this video is probably going to buy them tonight. And I need the money. Oh my God. Oh, something just ran up a tree. One just climbed a tree. They don't want to leave. They want this picture, and they want the ornaments. These beautiful ornaments are $9.99 on our Etsy store, and the link is in the description box below. Is my life really worth $30? Oh, they're coming even. I don't think it is. I think it is. I think my life's worth more than $30. Hold on. Wait a minute. I do want my tripod and my coffee mug. Wow. I realize I just made a huge mistake up here at Camp Bigfoot Sasquatch. Oh, It's re-gifting. You're never supposed to re-gift. Okay, I'm leaving. If you're not potentially Bigfoot Sasquatch, if you're something of a malevolent paranormal nature, you are not allowed to follow me home. Cold coffee, warm beer, which is worse? Okay, so guys, I think I'm gonna do the smart thing here and tell the rest of my story from a distance. But at the same time, why not stay within visual range? All right, so oh my gosh. Now I'm hearing footsteps in the meadow just to my left, and there's nothing there. All right, where was I? Wow, this started out as one of those motivational speech type former morning ramble things, and it turned into me potentially making a life-threatening mistake in the Bigfoot Sasquatch forest by re-gifting a gift I gave and then took back. Did you just hear like a audio verbal communication, like a growl or a grunt? So anyway, it looks like they're coming back for their painting. It's not going to rain tonight. I'll leave it up here. We'll see how it goes. And I guess I'll just get up super early and cut more of those cedar planks. Okay, keep watching. Now, here's my point. Here's how I was wrong. I'm going to wrap this up, okay? I've reconnected with an old friend here recently, a guy I've known for 20 years, but I was away from for about 8 years when I was overseas. Came back to the area, watched the ridgeline. You know, I've often said in videos that I like to be around people who have achieved things. Number one, attitude, and this guy really shows that I wasn't as wrong as I thought it was. The biggest, most important single factor that will determine whether or not I allow you into my life or not on a personal basis is your attitude. If you feed the wolf that's negative and nasty and only sees the bad in the world, only sees the bad in people, and if you paint your stained glass with the brush of negativity, I don't want you around me. I come from a very similar background, and it took me half a lifetime to stop feeding that wolf and painting that stained glass in such a way. And it's been many years now since I've done that, and I'm not going back. And one of the biggest threats to returning to that old way is by allowing people who are still there in my life. And so I don't do it. So attitude is so important. But I've often said that I like to surround myself with people who have accomplished things, people who are successful, and that is true too. But I think of this friend I have that I've recently reacquainted with after being away from him for several years. Now, he's very humble. And isn't humility attractive? You know, people who have done great things really won't tell you about it. People who truly are intelligent don't boast about it. They don't go on and on about how smart they are and about how dumb everyone else is, because true intelligence is humble enough to recognize how much there is out there that they don't know and understand. And it's very grounding, okay? So, you know, the people that claim to be the smartest guy in the room, and I've said this before, yeah, they are when they're the only guy in the room. But this guy, he's very humble. He claims he's not achieved much or done anything, and he's in his 70s. He says he's never been famous, never will be. That part of it might be true, but I would disagree in regard to him never having done anything. But it would be safe to say that 100 years from now, they probably won't read about this guy. This guy's not created anything that I think 100 years from now others will be admiring, be it art, music, literature. But let me tell you what this guy, he's kind of like a spiritual guide for me, but more than that, a friend. What he does better than anybody I've ever known in my life is he feeds the good wolf, and he comes from a very rough background too, but yet he paints his stained glass with the beautiful brush of positivity. And more than anybody I've ever known, he can wear the world like a loosely fitting garment around him. And when the winds of badness whip up, he can let it go. Let it run off over his back like water off a duck's back. More than anybody I know. This guy's in his 70s. And so that's the layer of the onion. It's not so much about accomplishment, achievement, as much as it is that attitude of positivity. Okay, the world and so many events that take place in the world and so many events that take place in our personal life is neither good or bad. It's the emphasis we place on it and how do you want to see it. Depends on how you feed that wolf, and it depends on how you paint that stained glass. So that was the message I tried to come across with in this video. I totally was not expecting that him, her, it, or they, and obviously there was far more than one of them, would be coming back to reclaim a gift I gifted them and took away. You know, this has been their home longer than it has been mine. Maybe, potentially, they liked the painting and they liked it right there where I put it. Maybe that's where it should stay. See if... I just heard a tree knock. I think they were saying, yeah. See you for more next time. From here to PBS. S. The potential Bigfoot Sasquatch show.